Well, it's not just repulsive because of what she's saying and the fact that it's outright manipulation. It's repulsive because she's talking about other people's children.
Yes.
She's not, if it was her own children, yeah. I mean, this is maybe where you and I maybe have a slight disagreement, and where it's hard enough for me, where it's hard for me to sort of go. I can't go as far as what Dawkins says, basically.
Sure.
But I think the fine line between what you would consider indoctrination or just teaching is blurred. Because, I mean, everyone says that they should have the right to genetic self-determination, and that no one else other than themselves should be able to tell them how to raise kids, unless, and this goes back to our example in the news, unless what you're doing to your children is harmful. And obviously, for the baby who had the cyst on her eye, clearly, objectively a harmful thing. And what the thing is obviously as we saw with that story also, Oregon law made it so essentially that they could dismiss or ignore or soften basically the consequences for parents who chose for their beliefs to do that to their children.
Yeah.
And it's the definition of harm, because a lot of people will say, and I would play theist advocate here and say, vast majority of Christians are not doing harm just by teaching them their kids Christianity. I will, however, say is that once it starts to entreat upon these areas that I think can be psychologically indefensible, like, for example, telling kids that homosexuals go to hell and deserve eternal torture. I know a lot of evangelicals believe that about, obviously a lot of evangelicals believe in hell, and a lot of most evangelicals do not support homosexuality because it's prohibited in the Bible. But if you're a child of an evangelical and you happen to be gay, whether by nature, nurture, or however that happens, that is abuse. That simply is abuse, to tell them that just the way they are is so abhorrent that they deserve to be punished eternally for it, and tortured eternally for it. And that, I think, starts to weigh into the area where someone's teachings, parents' teachings, can start to be harmful. But I think that's going to be different in every case.
I would tend to agree with you on most of what you said. I mean, I certainly don't think. I think it would be extremely rare to find any person who goes out and consciously, knowingly looks at a child and says, I can make this person think exactly the way I think, and build up an army for God. I think most people who teach children religion do it because they really genuinely believe they're doing what's best for the child.
Sure.
And I respect that in a way. I mean, I like kids. I think it's great to, do everything you can to do what's best for kids, obviously.
Sure.
I don't think anybody would disagree with that. But all I'm trying to say here is that at some point we need to stop thinking about our own rights, our own beliefs as adults, and start considering that children are not second-class citizens. They're individuals who have the right to develop their own minds.
Right.
And that even if you think you're doing the very best thing for your kid by teaching them religion, consider that maybe you ought to let your child discover this stuff for themselves without instilling particular ideas into their head before they're of an age to understand what making such a choice means to them and to their community.
Right, agreed.
Anyway, did we have a caller or not? Nope, I
No,
thought we
no
did.
caller.
My bad. Why don't you people call us more? I really want you to call and talk to me.
The number is here.
Anyway, my final point here that I hear frequently, and actually kind of a nice segue from what we were saying there, is I hear often, it's not your right to tell parents what they can and can't teach their kids. And I tend to agree with that, absolutely. I'm not saying you can't teach your children religion. All I'm trying to do by bringing up this topic now and other times when I discuss it with people is to point out that we need to shift the focus away from the rights of the parents and onto the rights of the children.
Yeah.
It's a child's right to make up his or her own mind about the world. Parents probably feel some justification for believing what they do believe if they can kind of foist their beliefs onto their kids. I mean, when you kind of surround yourself with a group of other people who think the same way you do, it's easily justified. Like, oh, I think this, everybody else thinks this, everyone around me thinks this. Clearly we've got it right because everybody believes the same thing.
Sure.
And a family's kind of a built-in unit for ensuring that. Not that I think that's a conscious... Anyway, I'll stop rambling.
So can I break you here?
Yes.
And I don't know if this is so sensitive that you wouldn't want to air it, but how is this opinion of yours sort of informed by growing up as a Mormon? Because of the little that I do know about the Mormon Church, they're very family-centric, and in fact, the belief is so much a part of them that when some kids you know, break from the faith, they break from their family as well, and that's an incredibly hard thing to take, you know, for especially for a teenager, which is usually when it happens.
Yeah,
So,
that can be a hard thing. Fortunately, that my family's not like that. I'm happy to say that my family's actually very cool and supportive,
Right.
and
Cool.
certainly the religious members of my family, which outweigh the non-religious members of my family. I have no doubt that they wish I was not an atheist, that I was still a member of the church and all that good stuff. But they're pretty supportive and loving, which is nice.
Yeah.
But in terms of how did indoctrination shape my worldview, I grew up a fearful kid. I was nervous all the time because, you know, the official name of the Mormon Church is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and they mean that. I mean, the Mormon Church believes that the end times are now, and that Jesus is coming like any time now. So you got to be on your toes because he's about to show up anytime and
I was going
punish
to say,
everyone.
I was thinking about this the other day. We should actually do a show where we try to accrue the number of times that people have predicted the exact end of the world.
Well,
because I'm sure it's happened so many times
Well,
now.
James
it's to be
Randi,
silly.
it's on randy.org.
Oh,
He's got a
okay.
whole website, and you can scroll down that website forever. Like it's all, it's pretty impressive. But yeah, in terms of how it's affected me, yeah, I believed because my parents, well, not my parents, my dad more so than my mom, to be fair to my mom, my family told me, these are the end times, and any day now, the
Yeah.
world's going to end. And when you're a child and you hear something like the world's going to end,
Right.
seriously.
But I mean, so
That does stuff to you. I mean, you're lucky if you can let that one fly right over your child head and you don't internalize that and at least have some fear or anxiety over it.
of course. And, well, here's be another question, which is I know that, of course, there's, and being an end times person is not native to Mormons, but what about the role in which, the specific role that the church gives to women or doesn't, or things that they don't give to women in Mormonism that are potentially harmful? Because I know you are literally subservient, you know, if you're a woman. Some interpretations.
Yeah, certainly. Certainly, being on the outside of the church and looking in, it definitely does look to me as if you're taught. Well, there are definite gender roles, I would say, in that church, which is another childhood indoctrination thing. Like men are supposed to be a very specific way. Men are caretakers. Men are providers. You know, the way you are a man is to take care of other people. Which I guess is an admirable enough quality, but also could, I would imagine, set up some neuroses in people.
Sure.
And the way you are a woman is you're a caretaker in a different way. You're not out winning, you know, money for your family. You're not out providing. You're staying at home. You're raising children. You're having as many children as you can because you have spirit children who are waiting beyond the veil to be called into human bodies and be raised by you.
Spirit children, huh?
It's a long story. We could do a whole episode on Mormonism.
Yeah, I didn't really want to open that up. I just, you know, I came from Oregon, and so there are Mormons that I went to school with. There are Mormons around, and of course, being raised like a Pentecostalist, like I was, Mormons are about as evil as Catholics on the scale of other sects of Christianity who believe almost essentially the same thing that we did. Like they were out there like, oh, this crazy, strange Mormons.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know? So
Yeah,
all I really know is about the special underwear, and I don't even know that much.
The special underwear really is not even that fascinating,
No.
to be honest with you. It's kind of a letdown once you actually know what it's all about. As a woman, women are not allowed to hold any kind of priesthood in the Mormon Church. The official reason that's given for that is that because women have the power to give life, to create life from their bodies, and so God had to give the priesthood to men to make up for that.
Of course.
Yeah. The really strange thing, though, is that anybody with the priesthood outranks and has authority over anybody who does not have the priesthood. And young Mormon boys obtain the priesthood when they're 12 years old. So if you're a Mormon woman, your 12-year-old son technically has more authority than you do.
That's madness.
Yeah. I mean, fortunately, most 12-year-old Mormon boys don't realize this, although if they watch YouTube, they do now. So, sorry to all the Mormon moms out there. I hope I didn't just make it harder to get your kids to clean their room.
Well, we're starting to spindle down, but you're not done yet. I just want to make sure that we get the RAM up there.
Yes.
That if you want to come and talk about these sorts of things, share your stories with us, or if you want to engage in a theological discussion, which we all love, we're going to be at the RAM at Northgate at 4:30 p.m. That's Northgate Mall. I don't know which exit that is. Doesn't matter. You can look it up on the internet.
Northgate Mall.
You're
Come
watching
on.
this on the internet anyways, probably, so look it up. Lazy folks.
Seriously, guys, Google. So anyway, yeah,
Please.
just to wrap up my points here, we talk a lot about rights whenever I have this discussion with people. You know, Libbie, it's not your right to tell me what I can and can't teach my kids, and I agree with that. I just want people to consider, what are the rights of the kids? They have the right to make up their own mind about religion, about supernatural stuff, about an afterlife, etc. Just like they have a right to decide for themselves what political affiliation, if any, they will have. And it's a choice that they have to make after observing the world for a while, after talking to a lot of people, after they can really understand what such an identity will mean to themselves and to their community, to the world at large. It's an important decision to make, I think. It is an identity, and kids should be able to form their own identities. And also, I mean, really, let's think about the children's rights. Do they have a right to a worldview that is commensurate with reality? I mean, do they have a right to be free of the schism in their head where some things are fantasy and some things are not, even though they appear exactly the same? Do they have a right to develop rational thought? Do they have a right to form their own opinions, as I already said? Do they have a right to understand for themselves why they should be moral and good citizens without having, you know, the threat of eternal punishment hung over their heads? I'm really not as interested in the rights of the parents to teach their kids whatever they want to teach them, not nearly as much as I'm interested in the kids' rights to be their own selves. They're people with individual minds. They're not accessories. They're not extensions of your own ego.
Right.
They are people. And it's easy to lose track of that because as parents or as caretakers, we do have to do so many things for them. We have to protect them. We have to look out for them. And it might, I'm sure it comes naturally to religious people to just pass that on too, but all I want to try to do is to get people to think about what they're doing before they do it. How are you affecting this growing person's development by teaching them that things like hell exist, by teaching them that they're being watched all the time, that their thoughts are being heard by this authority figure who's going to judge them after they die and decide where they'll spend eternity. You know, I'm sorry, there's no other way to put this, but if people aren't treating their children as sentient beings capable of forming their own minds and with the right to form their own minds, then you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
I can't really say it any other way than that.
Totally agreed. I'm actually, so that was a brilliant point. There's so little that I actually agreed with you or disagreed with you on there. And I'm wondering if the booth, this is sort of apropos, but can we play the Glory of Dog video, please?
Let's please play the Glory of
Like a dog looks to his master, I will turn my eyes to Jesus. With devotion in my footsteps, I will follow where he leads me. Down a righteous path to glory, in this world of sin and trouble. There's a promise that I'm after, and it's better than a bone.
Oh, so we had to do that. We had to do that for you guys. It's better than a bone.
Besides, that's what's indoctrinating your kids. Do you really want to have that image in your child's mind? Think about it, please.
I just, well, that thing hooked me in the first 15 seconds because I was like, your relationship should be like a non-sentient being to someone else, to like an imaginary. I was like, you want to be like a dog to someone? That's crazy.
Oh my
I don't know.
God.
Something about bones.
I would disagree that dogs are non-sentient, but we'll cover that topic. And really, better than a bone? I might disagree with that. I'm just saying.
Well, I think your topic was so inassailable that no one wanted to call in during the last half because they were just like, I can't disagree with you.
I know.
Apparently, no one could disagree with what she was saying.
Yeah. Well.
Either that, or you guys just were scared to call in.
I am essentially a genius.
That's why you're that is exactly why you're the most respected.
Where did you find
host.
the Dogs of Glory? I've never even seen this before. Where did that come from?
On the internet.
That's your excuse for everything.
No, yes, it is. I am the internet.
Is this like a regular TV program, or is it just some crappy cable access show?
We don't know. Well, I've been told before that I was Casey the Internet Doran, so it all comes from me.
Oh my God!
Give credit to me. Well, we're coming down to our last few seconds here, aren't we? Yes, something like that. If you want to join us at the Ram, that's at Northgate Mall at 4:30. Come down, tell Libbie that she's wrong, tell us that we're right. Come down and have a beer. and we thank everyone for joining us today. We'll be back next week. We'll be doing Star Trek and atheism.
Ooh.
So have a good one. Take it easy and keep it awesome.